I want to wish all of you joining us from around the world a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And thank you. Thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time today. Thank you so much for joining us for this overview webinar for the Wharton School's upcoming online program, Revenue Analytics Price Optimization. We are so thrilled to have all of you here with us today. Our amazing program leader who's on the line with us today, Brian Gross, our incredible program leader for this program, who, if you take this program, you will be meeting him in just about a week. Brian, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you, Mark. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody, and excited to get to know and meet people here and in the program to come.
Thank you so much for being here, Brian. We look forward to all your insights and your expertise in just a moment. First, let me tell you a little bit more about where this program came from and who we hope you will learn this program from. So why learn revenue analytics price optimization through Wharton Online? Well, the first thing is that this is an excellent opportunity to accelerate your career. So revenue optimization is at the core of today's competitive marketing and sales strategies. In fact, according to Markets, the expected compound annual growth rate for the global revenue management market from 2019 to 2024 is 9.6%, and we're already halfway through that time period. So this industry and revenue optimization and revenue analytics is already accelerating, and it's continuing to accelerate. And the most successful organizations are adopting data analytics tools and techniques to make the smartest forecast and pricing decisions. That is why revenue analytics professionals and other marketing professionals with tactical skills and analytical tools are highly sought after today. So this program, available through the Wharton School, Revenue Analytics Price Optimization, provides an introduction to the concepts of revenue management and optimization, and you will gain, as a participant, practical experience in using various revenue management analytics techniques to solve optimization challenges across a variety of industries. This is a question that Brian and I get often. I'm in this industry. Is this program right for me? Well, you will learn techniques to solve optimization challenges across a whole variety of industries, and you will come away with knowledge of the essential concepts of revenue management optimization, along with the ability to use statistical optimization and economic tools to help you make the most informed business decisions for maximizing revenue. Now, why take this program through the Wharton School? Well, in short, the Wharton School is one of the best business schools in the world, as well as being the oldest collegiate business school in the world, founded in 1881, thanks to a generous donation by Joseph Wharton of the famous Bethlehem Steel, who started this business school within the University of Pennsylvania, which is, of course, part of the famed and storied Ivy League here in the United States. And the Wharton School, for being one of the best, not just the oldest, is recognized globally for intellectual leadership and ongoing innovation across every major discipline of business education. And with that, Wharton is able to create economic and social value all around the world, not just thanks to its broad and powerful alumni network of almost 100,000 graduates, and it constantly adding to that community with 5,000 students, 13,000 participants in executive education programs every year, but also because they have one of the most published business school faculties of any business school in the world. And on top of all that, and on top of that incredible base of the most published business school faculty, almost 100,000 alumni, it also has more than 3 million learners like you, that we hope that you will become, have accessed Wharton online programs, of which there are more than 50 to choose. So we are hoping that you will become part of that larger global Wharton family of the more than 3 million learners all around the world who have accessed Wharton online's programming. And we hope that you will become part of the Wharton family. And to give you a little idea of what the Wharton School's philosophy is, we have this amazing quote from our excellent dean, Dean Erica James, who just celebrated her 2-year anniversary. She took over as the dean of the Wharton School July 1st, 2020. But nothing says it better than this. Today's environment means you can't afford to simply respond to or manage change. The best businesses must anticipate change and even intentionally create change so as not to become complacent. And at Wharton, we are excited to be the partner to help you get there. So we hope that you will choose Wharton, that you will choose this program as the way to not become complacent, but the way to anticipate and even intentionally create change and become part of this fast growing industry. Like I said, we are in the second half of almost double-digit figure growth for this industry. So that is why we feel that to learn these necessary skills, that the Wharton School is the best possible partner for that. Now, before I hand things over to Brian, who did we build this program for? Well, if you're on this call today, we're pretty confident that we built this program for you. But this program is designed, revenue analytics price optimization is designed to give participants hands-on experience in using data analytics tactical tools. So this is not a philosophical class. This is not a theoretical class. We are teaching you and giving you the skills and tools so that you can apply them immediately to your current and future careers, and to give you the tools that you need so that you can come up with successful revenue optimization strategies and a whole variety of business scenarios. But this program was specifically tailored for, if you're on this call today, we're pretty sure that it's right for you, but this program is especially ideal for anyone who works in mid to senior management in either business development, general management, and sales. So if you're seeking new strategies for driving up business revenue and profitability, and you're in mid to senior management, then this program is for you. If you're a category manager, product manager, or marketing manager, and you're challenged to develop new competitive strategies for revenue planning and management, then this program is ideal for you. If you're a finance or revenue planning manager and you want to hone your forecasting of market trends and changes to support a more effective marketing strategy, then this program is for you. And if you're a pricing analyst or a business analyst and you are challenged to design an elegant pricing approach for a product or service portfolio, then this program is ideally suited for you. So with this program, the key takeaways that I want you to take away with this program is that this program, Revenue Analytics Price Optimization through Wharton Online, will prepare you for career growth by providing the knowledge, understanding, and experience, as well as the tactical tools to apply data analytics to revenue management and optimization. So by the end of this 6-week program, you will be able to identify and understand the key problems solved by revenue management analytics. You will be able to solve revenue management problems using various models for revenue forecasting, statistical estimation, and optimization. You will be able to understand the economic and mathematical concepts of revenue management in different business contexts. You will be able to make business decisions and develop an optimal pricing strategy based on estimation data. You will be able to determine optimal pricing strategies to maximize business revenue. You will be able to drive product revenue by applying sales strategies such as discounting and bundling. And you will be able to use analytics to forecast trends, risks, and challenges in existing and new markets and create strategies to manage them. That is where you will be at the end of this 6 weeks. And the man who is going to be guiding you along that journey, who's going to be holding live office hours with you, and you're going to get to know very well over the 6 weeks of this program, is our amazing program leader, Brian Gross, who's going to be taking us through week by week, module by module, introducing you to the faculty. So without further ado, Brian, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. So while we're on this blank slide, I'm going to just do a quick bio of myself, explanation of my background, as well as overview, or at least in my words, what the program is in a nutshell. So Brian Gross, and I've been trained as an economist. I have a PhD from Berkeley, and I've been working as an academic faculty member and or researcher inside and outside of academia for 10 years post-graduating, and also have experience working for the private sector via consulting, consulted for a company that was creating phone apps and looking to maximize its revenue for in-app purchases. And I derived through the data that they provided, price response data, or a demand curve, and made suggestions for revenue enhancements. And so I have experience specific to this. It's also something that I'm just very passionate about. I don't think I need to tell anybody here, but pricing is the low-hanging fruit. It is the easiest way to improve the bottom line of pretty much any industry, business in any industry out there. And the reason why is because with small tweaks to your pricing system, not just the price itself, but how is the arrangement working? Is it multiple parts? Is there any segmentation of the market? All of these provide ways of enhancing revenue with almost zero increasing in cost. And right, that's increasing your profit margins. And the reason why it's not, there's still all of this potential to gain is because it's hard, right? Pricing is complex, pricing is messy. And this program, I think, is a great foundation for providing, giving you the lay of the land, but also giving you the details to really answer the questions that you have or that you might have down the line or that other people have in your organization, to address and solve the pricing challenges that you face or will know that you face. So what does this program do? I mean, it is, to me, in a nutshell, a fast-paced, comprehensive overview of pricing dynamics, pricing optimization, and revenue analytics, i.e., how do you get the data? How do you extract or interpret the data, and how do you perform the analysis? What analytical tools and methods do you use in order to answer the questions that we have, i.e., what is the best price in this, given this current market? How should I, and given the data from sales over time, what would be the price, the best price that I could set in order to maximize revenue? We could also talk about if you have two different segments potentially, because you could split it based upon an early demand and a late demand, like for a time of purchase decision for hospitality, for example, early booking versus a late booking, early booking being more discount, more price sensitive, and late booking being much less price sensitive and generally a higher willingness to pay. If you have these two segments, how do you optimally price to those two different segments, given the variables that you have to work with, right? So that's just an example that we go through. So there are, in addition to great faculty that we'll be talking about in just a second, there's also fantastic guest speakers that provide an opportunity to converse where the rubber meets the road in terms of, okay, so here's what we know, in terms of the theory, how is that, how has your experience been working in your industry? And it's a fantastically illuminating conversation that is valuable. And there's lots of support that not only the faculty that help design this program provide via supplemental videos and extra time, but also you have office hours, live office hours myself to help go through everything, help create additional resources. I've worked with participants to go into greater depth related to their specific problem. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to learn a lot. And then finally, we're funneling all of the knowledge and experiences that you were gaining through the program into a final presentation. Normal, say, college graduate level coursework, you're gearing up to test your knowledge, right? And it's like, okay, great, what did I learn? Maybe. But if you can put it and distill everything into something that is actually transportable to what you're doing, if not exactly what you're trying to do, like say presented to your colleagues or superiors, or give you a way to make the case for hiring out, a team to do something. This is giving you exactly that, so that you have, this is a launching pad and giving you a final presentation that takes everything and directly applies it to your specific organizational goals that you have. So Mark, you can feel free to advance. So faculty member number 1, Professor Noah Gans at the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School. As Mark already went through the gloried history of Wharton and UPenn, He's provides a perspective that I think is really helpful when understanding pricing optimization, pricing dynamics, revenue optimization. It is, he's not only does he understand the lay of the land and all of the nitty gritty mathematical, statistical, complexities, he's also really approachable and does a really good job of explaining things, I think, in a way that everybody can follow. He provides additional supplemental videos. He will be available in week 5 for a faculty webinar. We're still nailing down the specific date, but goes out of his way to be available and answer questions to participants in the program. Yeah, and I think you can read everything else about his specific expertise. Mark, would you mind advancing? So, and then our other faculty member, Senthil, he's got an amazing set of experiences implementing a lot of the techniques and ability to walk through examples in detail so that you can then, actually, it's not just theory, it's applied. Also really great lecturer in terms of presenting material in an approachable way. The two of them together, especially during the guest speaker conversations, is really valuable. So I think you'll gain a lot from some Senthil as well. Next slide. So our guest speakers, as I've mentioned already, we have 4 of them. Dave Roberts, the first one, he's out of Cornell. June Lee, we have Eric Bradlow from Wharton as well, Vice Dean of Analytics. And from DoorDash, we have Kartik Gandhi. And all of them are fantastic, like I already alluded to before, in giving, a rich context and rich experience to provide context to everything that's discussed in the program. So from comments and feedback, they're oftentimes the highlight of every module for a good reason. They're providing a lot of value and are interesting, and it's funny, not all the time, but it is funny at times. So I think you'll appreciate them as well. Next slide, please. So the overview, as I gave before, in more detail module by module, is first module is just about understanding what the problem is, right? What are the key questions, as well as giving you some historical context. Professor Noah Gans goes through a little bit of the history of revenue optimization and revenue management practices, mostly having to do with the airlines industry, and for interesting reasons. And so I think it's great to have that context, and also set up what are the key questions and how did this come about. In the next module, module 2, it's laying the foundation for conceptually what is our goal. What are we trying to do with data that we want to collect in order to answer the questions that we have, what we talked about in module 1. And a little bit more about specific statistical analysis and what kinds of challenges immediately you might encounter when dealing with sales, purchase data, and then trying to infer what's called customer willingness to pay, and how do we use statistical distributions in our analysis. And so it's giving all of the architecture of the operable machine that we're going to then use to feed our data in, to do our analysis, to answer the questions that we have. Next slide, Mark, please. So module 3 then takes a deeper dive into the different challenges that are particularly facing these kinds of analyses. And one thing, it's called sensor data, because we may not be able to observe in a certain data that is generated in full because of some sort of constraint. And one of the classic ones is if we have a capacity constraint, i.e. like a plane only has a certain number of seats on it, when we sell less than the number of seats that we have, we know what the demand was. We know the quantity purchased at the price that we offered it to. Let's say if it was just one price for all the seats, which we know is not the case. But if we sell out, if all of them are sold out, it's not clear how many more would have been purchased at the prevailing price because of the capacity constraint that we had. And that presents a challenge in performing analysis. You can't just assume that the demand is 100, whatever it is, 120 at that price. It could have been higher because you don't see the full value, the full data that's called censored. And we have to deal with that in our model in terms of doing the statistical analysis that we do. So we work through that. We introduce some of you guys might be familiar with regression, linear regression, or ordinary least squares, or fitting a line, right? In Excel, you can even just fit a trend line. And that's regression, and that works under scenarios where you have a clear distribution that you can work off of, i.e. normal distribution, bell curve, and the assumptions governing how that curve looks like and how it relates to other variables is within bounds. But as soon as you get into any level of complexity, those assumptions are no longer holding, and your analysis using them or assuming them will be wrong. And so we give you another more broadly applicable technique called maximum likelihood estimation, which it's a kind of a misnomer in terms of it's suggesting it's like the best maximum likelihood, but it's just more general regression, if you want to think about it that way, more general estimation, because what it does is it allows you to define what your model is under your assumptions about how the data is being generated, and then you are able to estimate parameter values based upon the data that you receive that creates the best likelihood and most likelihood that you've observed the data that you've observed. And it's tricky to just wrap your head around. I think for folks that aren't yet familiar with that, Module 3 provides a bit of a stumbling block in terms of getting over that hurdle with understanding why you're doing this and what it means. In fact, that it's not maximum likelihood is not maximizing revenue itself. It's just trying to estimate the parameters so you know what your distribution is so that you can optimize on it. But some of you guys may already be well familiar with that and maybe just not applied in this particular scenario. Module 4, then we get into what is either for your industry maybe a really applicable sort of set of analyses, or it may not be, but it's still going to be, I think, interesting. The problems I mentioned related to airlines and hospitality, hotel, cruise lines have this purchase time, timing of purchase dynamic, which is that purchases are arriving over a period of time, and the demand fundamentally is changing over that time, willingness to pay, price sensitivity, and that then means we can use that, right? Again, this whole idea of revenue management, price optimization, is finding out where are the opportunities to tweak price, along which dimensions and how to segment in order to, maximize the revenue that we can get. And also to sell more units and make it more profitable to provide things. Doesn't have to be thought of purely in terms of greed. So we go through a number of different examples, explain the concepts, the fundamentals, and equip you with the tools to do a dynamic pricing scheme based upon either something that you want to decrease the price over time in order to offload excessive inventory after a period of sales, like clothing, merchandise, or something like that. Or something that decays in value, like some new media, new book, new movie that comes out, consumer goods, that some of that you can front load the price because you're going to have some people willing to pay a lot at the very beginning, and then you're going to people that aren't willing to pay as much and are willing to wait. You're using that as called the hurdle model to segment the market. So a lot of times it's just an opportunity in how do we segment the market? How do we price discriminate is another term, or price differentiate. Mark, can you go on to the next slide? So two other pieces then is quantity-based revenue analytics is, we talk about it in the context of revenue management and pricing dynamics, just in extended form. What if you overbook, that kind of thing. And so there's these additional extended topics that we can get into, but quantity-based revenue management is oftentimes it includes bundling, whether you want to bundle together products or offer volume discounts, and how and when you do that and what the trade-off is for an alternative. And then module 6 is kind of just giving you a bit of an array of other directions and topics that would be included under the umbrella of price optimization, revenue analysis, and can be very applicable to what you're doing, or just very interesting. To come back to the question, or the slide that Mark had covered in terms of who is this for, I just wanted to add a comment to that, which is, whether or not this is something that you yourself are going to be doing on a day-to-day basis, or at some point where you're going to get the data, try to answer some questions and spit out some answers, or whether or not you're going to have an opportunity to hire somebody, or to find a colleague to do this. I think this is something that everybody should have a strong handle on, the mechanics of doing it, even if they're not necessarily doing it themselves, because it is so valuable for the organization. And knowing that, and knowing the potential gains there, can substantially impact a direction that an organization goes in a completely unrelated, direction to pricing. So it's applicable broadly is I guess what I'm saying there. And I think that's it, right? No more slides for me, Mark? Yeah. Okay. So I'm good. I look forward to meeting you all and answering questions.
I want to tell you a little bit about what your program experience will be, because after all, this is not just, we know that there are a lot of online learning opportunities out there, which are just, finding a bunch of videos on YouTube. And that is not this. This is a dynamic, interactive program and an incredible learning experience. And so just some of the aspects of your program experience that will really set it apart from other online learning opportunities. We've talked about some of these so far. Things like assignments, industry examples, Excel exercises, all of these are made so that you are able to apply these skills, apply these tools, and apply this knowledge immediately to your current and future careers. So the triad activities, those are all meant to get your hands dirty. Everything you learn in this program is meant to be used immediately. But also the other things that really set this program apart. First of all, there are knowledge checks. Now, some people see that and they go, oh, no, I didn't like tests when I was a kid. I don't want to see anything about knowledge checks. Well, the thing is, unlike other online programs, we are committed to making sure that you are comfortable with knowing that you are processing and internalize and actually learning this material for the long haul. Because again, this is meant to be used in your present and future careers. So if we just throw a lot of information at you, like learning out of a fire hose, then at the end of 6 weeks, you might say, well, I don't know if I actually know any of this, or if I just had a bunch of stuff thrown at me, or do I actually know if I've internalized it, if I understand it? The knowledge checks are there as another form of support, so that you know that you are actually gaining the knowledge, you are actually learning throughout this process. A couple of things I want to point out: the live office hours, that refers to the live office hours that you will be having with Brian. throughout this program, where you'll be able to have deeper dive discussions about what you've learned, clarify anything you're struggling with. So those live office hours are a huge benefit. But also on here is that node that says discussions. There are going to be moderated peer discussion boards where all of you in the cohort will be able to bring your experiences, your ideas into the program itself. So all of you are going to be enriching each other's experiences as well. And so if you have a question about, well, I don't know how this applies to my industry, I work in this industry in this country, you will discover that you are in a cohort probably with someone in the exact same industry as you, but possibly on the other side of the planet. Or you might be in a cohort with someone who is in a completely opposite industry from you, but they're right down the street. Or you might have people in both those scenarios. So you'll be able to learn, okay, how does this apply to where I'm at? How does this apply to my industry? And so all your different lived experiences are going to enrich this program as well. So in short, you're going to have a dynamic, interactive, and enriching experience throughout this program. So what you can expect each week, our students commit 4 to 6 hours per week on this program. That is the range. That is not an average. So when I say 4 to 6 hours per week, it does not mean that some students take 2 hours and some students take 10 hours. 4 to 6 hours per week is the amount of time that our students devote to this program, the 6 weeks of this program. Now on there, the first thing it says is bite-sized learning. What that refers to is that if I told you the program is 4 to 6 hours per week in a traditional academic environment, what that would probably look like would be 2 to 3 hours at a time, 2 or 3 times a week. That's what 4 to 6 hours per week would look like on campus in a traditional academic environment. But the whole point of learning online is that it's as flexible as possible. So we have made this one of the most flexible programs you are going to find online. All our video lectures are broken down into 7 minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes even 3-minute videos, so that even if you only have 10 minutes here or there, if those 10 minutes here or there can add up to 4 to 6 hours per week, you will be able to accomplish your goals in this program. So say you commute by train and you have a 20-minute train ride into your job and a 20-minute train ride out. You could do 3, 4, maybe even 5 videos in each direction. So that 20-minute commute turns into 40 minutes a day. And that's over 3 hours of your learning right there, just in your train commute on the way to and from work. Like we mentioned before, you're going to be learning in a lot of dynamic different ways, such as assignments, quizzes, peer learning discussions, webinars, and also frequent course communications from Brian, from your program leader, to guide you through this experience. Now, upon successful completion of the program, the Wharton School will grant a verified digital certificate of completion to everyone who successfully completes the program. And this is a fantastic feather in your cap in 2 ways. First of all, if you put this on your resume, you put this on your CV, you will see that you never know, there are more than 3 million Wharton online learners all around the world. So you might find yourself in a meeting or in an interview, and you mention that you took a Wharton online program. Someone on the other side of the table might have taken a Wharton online program as well. And you'll discover that you have a shared experience, a common language, a shared vernacular that you can bring into that room. But also, this is a wonderful tool for networking. You put it on your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Twitter, and you'll be able to find other people who have accessed Wharton online programming. But also, you'll be able to find students from past cohorts of revenue analytics, price optimization, and students from future cohorts as well. You never know who might be taking this program at the end of this year, next year. So you'll be able to find yourself part of a larger community just from this 6-week program through the Wharton School. So with that, program support is putting a link up in the chat box that you can click on to register for this program, Revenue Analytics, Price Optimization. And I don't want you to miss the opportunity to join this cohort. So please, even if you don't have time to register right now, even if you have another meeting right after this or another Zoom right after this and you don't have time to register right this moment, please just go ahead and click on the link. Keep it open in your browser. If you're anything like me, your browser already has 50 tabs open. So go ahead, click on that link, make it the 51st tab open in your browser, register right away, because sometimes a week can feel like a month, but then sometimes it disappears in like an hour. So I don't want you to say, I've got plenty of time, I've got a whole other week to register, and then you miss the opportunity to join this cohort. So please go ahead, click on that link. And as you can see there, the program fee has been reduced. You can get this amazing program. You can earn that certificate of completion for less than $400 a week. That is an incredible investment in your career and in your future. So please go ahead, click on that link and register as soon as you can. So Brian, you can talk about this. So the vast majority of this class are video lectures. They're not webinar lectures per se. So much of this class is not set at a specific time, right? It's not like our students have to log in at specific times.
Lectures from the faculty or from the office hours. The faculty lectures, as Mark Linehan just said, is are recorded, so it's asynchronous. You can watch at your leisure. The office hours are live, but they're also recorded. So if you can't make the scheduled time, you can make it. But I also want to comment that it's those, we call them office hours, the hour a week that I'm live is an opportunity to go over any questions that you have. I can also see if I can clarify anything that I know to be, a hang up when it comes to the material for that module. Provide additional resources to help apply it in different directions, but it's really a resource for you guys. So it's not a lecture format. That's really just an open office hours that you can derive.
Do our students need to use data from their current companies? Right. Do they? How much do they need to provide in terms of like what they have from work, or can they use some of it? So there's two sides to that question. It's, do we have to use stuff from our current employer, or can we?
Absolutely. So to perform the activities required for the program, like just on that level, you do not need to have any data from your own organization or from an external source. If you do have anything that your organization, for its own operations, you have sales data, or you have a survey or focus group type response data, you absolutely can use that in your presentation. In terms of concerns over the sensitivity of privacy over that information, proprietariness, any of that data and analysis is not going to be disclosed to the entire cohort. It is only can be folded into your presentation if, again, you want to go that direction, which is only read by me, the faculty, or the program leader, excuse me. So, so that's on that side. Now, is it useful? Is it helpful to have, access to data? Yes, but you may just come out of this program with the realization of what data you want to now be asking to get, right? To go down the line, up the line, and ask and seek to get some of this information, because now you have some tools and methods to attack it with. Speaking of tools and methods, do you mind if I address Amir and I think Anonymous also asked about tools needed? So the only software tool that would be really helpful for you to have is a spreadsheet equivalent to Microsoft Excel in terms of you having it on your end. Technically, you don't even need that. You can just follow along, but as we all know, learning by actually doing yourself is so much more valuable. So, oh, you said you want to answer it too. There's nothing, we're not going to be provided anything. We're going to assume that you have access to Excel or a substitute that can perform the same functions. And so there are tried activities in Excel. There are supplemental walkthrough videos in Excel. And it would be obviously helpful if you want to incorporate more of this data analysis in your presentation, you can, but you can even use Google Sheets for a lot of it as well. What are the tools that you're going to utilize in terms of what you're going to be getting out of the program? You will be able to perform maximum likelihood estimation, ordinary least squares, and logit regression, and then price optimization after that within Excel. So you have, that's some idea about the tools that you have. We won't be equipping you with the specific programming to do those tasks in an alternative program or analytics app. There are many out there, and some base programming software like R or Python, or all these things where you just have more power in the sense of you can do a lot more things. But you'll be, if you already have knowledge of those, you'll be able to apply everything that we're doing to that. If you don't, or don't yet have knowledge on that front, these are all methods and statistical techniques that you can port over.
If you're in an industry that either has dynamic pricing that's hard to implement, or in this example, dynamic pricing that is where dynamic pricing is likely not suitable for that industry. That was the basis of that question. Brian, real quick, since you said there was someone in the last cohort of this applied to, can you give us an example of that? Like what would an industry be that actually dynamic pricing isn't necessarily suitable?
Like consumer packaged goods.
Okay.
Some B2B, kind of services type things may not be conducive to it. In other cases, it may not be relevant, not that it's not conducive, but it may not be relevant because there's alternative based approaches. So if it's most applicable to B2B type business to business industries in which you're operating, where you are getting requests for quotes. In other words, the customers, essentially the clients, are coming to you as an organization requesting a quote for the service or the product that's being delivered and designed and customized. And the pricing, therefore, not only is your potential purchases arriving at different points of time, which, like I said, may be getting dynamics, but it's the fact that you get information from them and they don't necessarily see what the price is that you give to someone else, means you can do customized pricing where you can, for example, car loans or insurance quotes, but car loans, there are, aggregators where you, as say, looking for a car loan, will provide your information, your FICO score, your, what the details about the car and the size of the loan that you're looking for. And then companies figure out based upon that what quote they're going to offer, and then they just know whether or not it's accepted. That's right, an example of that. Technically, there's some dynamics there, but you're maximizing along a different dimension.
Will the cohorts groups be divided up with a consideration on time zones? I just want you to clarify for everyone on the call, Brian, and everyone listening in later, that this isn't like there's not necessarily group work. So it's not like everyone has to meet at the exact same time. Your live office hours happen at a specific time, but those are recorded. But other than that, it's not like our students are going to have to figure out a time to meet that works for every time zone, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all asynchronous, as you were saying. Everyone contribute. There's discussion threads that are very valuable. There's like a Q&A for every single module where people will post questions like, I didn't quite understand with this, or can this, what was mentioned by this guest speaker, apply to the, and then your fellow participants are also weighing in, providing feedback. I'm monitoring and adding in comments myself, and or sometimes there'll be an error caught, and I'll address it and respond. So yeah, the only thing that is synchronous is the live session, and that's not going to be split up by office hours. It's just, can you make that or not? And as you noted, it is global, and there is no one good time that will work for everybody across all the different time zones. But it's recorded, and if you can't make it live, then you can certainly put your questions in the Q&A, the module Q&A, or directly to me via messaging, and I will then address it during those office hours. So there's lots of ways to try to get that, but the interaction, it's all asynchronous.
is there any teaching or exposure to applications such as R and Python, or do we mostly just stick to Excel?
Yeah, I mean, we allude to the possibility that, this is something that you could do in Python, you could do in R. At the moment, there's nothing that we have already prepackaged to do the exposure piece, as to, like, this is how you would do it in R, or this is how you would do it in Python. That being said, if there's interest, expressed early on, as a program leader, that's one example of something that I could try to provide resources. Even if it's just showing you that, hey, here's something I found, and it's, I could help walk you through what that looks like. That could be done during office hours or through messaging or discussion thread. And and just walk through an example of, this is what we're doing here, and this is what, they're taking it a step further and being able to do this and this and this. So, but there's nothing built in to already to give you that exposure or hands-on learning in either of those two programs, which are very powerful. And I'll just be alluding to it as something that if you don't have the training in them, but you're interested in going deeper in the analytics yourself, absolutely, I'll be recommending you pursue those lines of training. But also, it's another reason for why you should be looking to hire or partner up with internal or external expertise on that.
Do they need to provide their own data to the course?
No, you do not need. In fact, what you mentioned is fantastic. The data specific to the company. And when I said sensor data, that's just to be clear, I'm not talking about like population census or demographic, countrywide data. So let me back up a step. You do not need to bring any data to the course in order to the program, in order to complete any of the activities. We are providing example data sources. We'll have one sort of canned example, an activity, or I think it's called a game, that we use to do a lot of the analyses moving forward. It's a simulation of a kind. I have my own, I derive my own simulations that we'll then walk through if you're interested in the office hours, just to get you a sense about how to do it. And then you can apply it if you have access to data like you just mentioned. So past pricing info and product movements, volumes, purchase, that's super. And in fact, that's something that we'll walk through, is how would you use that data to extract the information like what we have in this program in order to do the optimization. So you do not need anything beyond that. And even if you don't have that, you can still at least gain an importance, appreciation of the importance of having that information and what you could do with it if you had it. I hope, Kritika, that does resolve that concern, but yeah.
Would this program benefit those who work in the service delivery and project teams, assuming that it appears to be more of a finance? So will this benefit people who work in the service delivery industry?
Absolutely. I mean, anything with a price on it is something that, there is opportunity to improve the bottom line of an organization, which of course opens up the doors for all kinds of, organizational goals that you might have. Suppose you're offering, software services, and maybe it's an IT based, or maybe it's you provide a product of software, but then there's all the service that goes along with it. I'm just come up with an example, but feel free to throw another one. There are certainly ways to design a pricing scheme within the service provision. It's not just about finance, that can be advantageous, but it's also really valuable to think about when you're offering a service. There actually might be multiple ways in which to take slices of the problem of pricing. So, for example, if it is a software type thing, you're offering a product, but you're also offering a service. And in fact, leaning more on the service side of things can often be a revenue enhancing route to go, because you offer the software as a hurdle, as an entry fee. It's called two-part pricing. And then you're offering sort of a usage or ongoing monthly subscription, whatever fee. And that's oftentimes with higher overhead margin. So profit margin on that, not overhead costs. The other examples, you'll see them, taking something that you might think is a product, but actually turns it into a service, like Peloton, the really nice exercise bikes for serious cyclists that want to get a workout on it, but also so they provide the product that you buy, but then there's that subscription to the trainer videos and live sessions that you can be a part of. And again, it's a way to extract more revenue by appending to a product a whole service component to it. So trying to think of another pure service-based type thing. I always go to taxes. I think about tax preparation services. But another example where you can do it one-on-one, you provide a service this year, but you could also build it out and say that you have an entry fee or like a one-time initiation fee, and then you have more of a membership model where you're able to and that's able to turn a one-time transaction into more that allows for other opportunities to earn more revenue.
I want to thank Brian Gross, our amazing program leader for this program. Thank you so much, Brian, for your time and your expertise today.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And thank all of you. Thank you all so much for being here today. We know that your time is precious. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Again, if you have any additional questions, please send them to wharton@emeritus.org. We look forward to having you in the program again. So go ahead, click on that link and register now. Until then, have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye-bye now.